Hello, and thanks for joining us on Encore. Coming up on today's show. Laughing in the face of political turmoil, we take a look at the comical side of Brexit as UK artists thumb their nose at the vote to leave the EU. The clown who came in from the cold, Russian performer Slava, brings his surreal circus style to Paris. And director Martin Scorsese finds inspiration in the sound of silence for his latest film as he revisits 17th century Japan in this religious odyssey. We're starting the show in the UK, where the country's government is taking the first steps towards its official exit from the European Union. As London dots the I's and crosses the T's on legislation, some people have been making light of the decision to leave the EU. The political upheaval sparked 7 months ago by the shock vote has provided plenty of material for the country's artists, comedians and commentators. Emerald Maxwell takes a look.
Brexit means Brexit, says UK Prime Minister Theresa May. But what does that actually mean? More than 6 months after the UK voted to leave the EU, it's all very vague. So British humour has stepped in to fill the void, satirising the absurdity around the vote and the uncertainty that's followed it. From books to internet memes to musicals.
The EU is broken, our pathway is clear. Boris is the answer to everybody's prayers.
From digs at leavers to poking fun at Remainers, Brexit has provided a lot of material for stand-ups to work with.
A lot of my friends were saying, well, thank you very much, leavers. Now we're going to have a future with no money or human rights. And I was thinking, no, we're leaving the EU. We're not joining North Korea.
Much of the humour is directed at the country's politicians, including Theresa May and Foreign Secretary and pro-Leave campaigner Boris Johnson.
Now, we may go through a miniature recession as a result, and thousands of jobs may be lost when this comes to fruition. Plus, Scotland may hold another referendum and actually leave us this time, crashing our economy even further. I know what you're thinking. This is the stupidest decision we might ever make as a country.
Even Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Charles seem to despair of these troubled times.
What are you doing?
That is the agenda for the next Prime Minister.
Extremely painful.
With the government planning to start the legal EU exit process by the end of March, no one really knows what will happen next. But that hasn't stopped people from imagining. This parody of the final scene in Planet of the Apes shows a British man returning home decades after Brexit.
I'm home.
Only to discover what remains of the UK.
You maniacs! God damn you all to hell!
We might be feeling the chill of midwinter in Northern Europe, but one man's bringing a little warmth to his show here in France. Slava Polunin is a Russian clown and self-styled president of the Academy of Fools. His troupe has been touring around the world for years now. They mix up a playful cocktail of performance, mime and storytelling. Luke Shrego finds out more about Slava's sources of inspiration at his Laboratory of Laughter just outside of Paris.
Tucked away in the eastern Paris suburbs, a house unlike any other. This is the Moulin Jaune, or Yellow Windmill, an artist's residence set up by someone who could be Santa Claus's double. But Slava Polunin's gifts come in the form of laughter. A Russian clown. He calls the place the Academy of Fools. It's open to other clowns from around the world. And it's where he works on his own routines too, taking inspiration from France's rich comedic roots.
Among my idols, there's Jacques Tati and Pierre Etex, but I started with Chaplin. Of course, there's the mime Marcel Marceau too. That came bit by bit because he came to Russia so often. I used to carry his bags and operate his spotlight too.
Slava's been clowning around, as it were, for nearly 5 decades. He's been behind many commercially successful shows that have gone on tour, including the renowned Snow Show. Just a few minutes out from the performance and the troupe is getting ready to go on stage. They're a tight-knit group, and calling them family isn't an exaggeration. This is Slava's son Ivan. They make their own costumes for the show, which itself is more abstract than scripted.
It's not really about anything. There's no story. It's just life.
A few years back, Slava was wearing the yellow suit. In this sketch, he plays a man who's fallen in love with an overcoat, being comforted by his own arm. Now, the role's gone to a younger cast member. Being part of the troupe is, after all, learning the art of the mime. Moving on from melancholy, though, to the absurd and a series of colourful dance numbers. But the show isn't limited to the stage. The mischievous green clowns draw the entire audience into the action too. And that was just the beginning. To a sweeping orchestral score, a snowstorm sweeps out into the hall, covering the crowd. It literally and figuratively blows them away.
Excellent, extraordinary, amazing. It's not of this world.
I loved it, and the characters were really funny.
It's offset from real life, and that feels good.
And Slava and the troupe are already lining up a host of new shows throughout 2017.
We're moving to film now, as legendary American director Martin Scorsese returns to theatres here in France this week with Silence. The historical drama follows two Jesuit priests tasked with a special mission in 17th century Japan. More than 25 years in the making, Scorsese says the project's very close to his heart and comes in stark contrast to the gilded excess of 2013's The Wolf of Wall Street. Brian Quinn takes a look.
Our Lord said to them, "Go ye into the whole world and preach the gospel to every living creature."
Martin Scorsese on the trail of Catholic missionaries in feudal Japan. It's a far cry from the gangs and stockbrokers of his native New York. With his latest release, Silence, the director follows two young Portuguese Jesuits as they search for their disappeared former mentor.
Ferreira is lost to us. He denounced God in public and surrendered the faith.
That's not possible. Father Ferreira risked his life to spread our faith all over Japan.
Shot on location in Taiwan, the film immersed its young stars in the suffering of their characters.
Every part of it was difficult, but it was the kind of difficult that was challenging in the way that pushes you beyond what you think you are and who you think you are, and brings you towards something further than that. So it was a really good challenge.
Scorsese, never shy about his own Catholic faith, is taking a look back at a darker moment in its history. The film describes the persecution of Christians in Japan at the start of the 17th century.
If they call them the Band of Christians, K-R-I-S-H-T-I-A-N-S, if it continues to exist in Japan, we will lose our government, we will lose our land, we would lose the very essence of what it is to be Japanese. Therefore, they must go.
The price for your glory is their suffering.
It's a clash of cultures that shakes the faith of the two protagonists.
We asked for this mission.
Through the story, Scorsese explores his own doubts as a believer. Faced with God's silence, how does one find a sense of faith?
The answer is in the silence. I mean, we come from silence and we go to silence. One has to become comfortable with the silence.
I pray, but I'm lost.
The result is a film as unexpected as it is risky. Pope Francis himself has said he hopes it opens a dialogue about faith.
To London now, where the Tate Modern is paying homage to one of Britain's most celebrated living painters, David Hockney. The gallery's brought together more than 200 pieces of his work, from very early drawings to the iconic paintings and even his recent work, some of which has been made on an iPad. Hockney's best known for his vibrant canvases featuring 1960s California and its glittering swimming pools. But he's also made significant contributions to the fields of portraiture and landscape. The Tate Modern say this is the most extensive survey of his work to date. They had help from the Pompidou Centre here in Paris and the Met in New York to bring these pieces together. Curator Chris Stevens gives us the inside track.
One of the key things we want to communicate is that Hockney is has a popularity and a sort of level of recognition far greater than almost any living artist in the world. But that doesn't mean that there isn't something very serious about his art as well. So it's very popular, and it is very uplifting. But running through it is this very serious engagement with what is art all about? Why, how do we capture the world in pictures?
A milestone for his career then, and a nice way for David Hockney to mark his 80th birthday coming up in July this year. And finally, you might think that robots are a 20th century phenomenon, but a new exhibition in London proves that man has been making mechanical companions for hundreds of years. The Science Museum is showcasing all sorts of weird and wonderful robotics, from a 16th century lip-syncing monk to the very cutting edge of empathetic avatars from the present day. We'll leave you with a couple of the quirkier examples. Don't forget to check out our website, and you can keep up with Encore on social media channels too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Would you give your life to save a tree, to stop the construction of a dam or an airport? But how realistic is a zero-waste lifestyle? Critics say Fessenheim is a